All right. So, hi everybody. I'm Craig Walker, and I call myself, sometimes an energy healer or an energy coach, rather, because I don't really feel like I'm the one. Whether the work that I'm doing is actually doing any healing. It's more coaching somebody else's system by reflecting back to them, if you will, where their own energy resources are and where there may actually be blocks or something like this. But I have today Raven Rochelle. I've worked with Raven. Thank you so much for hopping on here. Raven's told me that she never gets on video ever, and so I feel super fortunate that you offered to join us. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So thanks. Right off.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, it's the least, everything that you have done for me over the last 7 years. I mean, I'm willing to get on camera and yeah, put it out there because you've been instrumental in my healing. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for saying that, and thank you for getting on, and for the folks that may be sitting at home trying to piece together what's actually happening, and they're getting something from whatever the providers and what they're reading and what they're seeing on it on Instagram or Facebook or all in the Google and all the different sources of information we get, trying to put something together, but really looking for maybe our way home and to feel safe and inspired and have some kind of maybe magical experience that I don't know. That's how I
Yeah.
sort of wind my way through discussing what it is that we're doing here. So maybe share with us, like, what were things like before or at the beginning of when we started working together, and
Sure, sure. And I'll even go back further. So about 26 years ago, I had some sports injuries and was left with some rotational spinal stuff that just kind of snowballed over the years, even though I went to hundreds of practitioners. Like I've been to 26 chiropractors, I've been to countless massage therapists, um, anything you could think of in the energy work and body work arenas I have. So that has been my process this lifetime, is really healing from those serious chronic things. And I would never just give up and let myself waste away. But I was having some real problems overcoming those deep issues that I'd been experiencing for lots of years. And just before I came to see you a few months before, I had re-injured my neck and was incredibly injured, to the point where it took a couple years after I injured it for even to be able to turn my neck. I couldn't hug anybody. I was almost bedbound. I lost 20 pounds, so I was like 83 pounds.
oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, I was barely functioning. Um, when I first was working with doing the energy work with you in person, I mean, I had to take medical transport to get there. So here I am now. I'm like vivacious. I'm gardening. Have so many projects right now. I can't even keep up with my life. I have all these years to make up for. Okay, that was a long-winded introduction.
What?
But so when I came to see you, I had a lot of physical support systems, but it wasn't getting at those underlying patterns that were really keeping me stuck. And those were on multiple levels. So the work that you and I have done together have been extraordinary on the physical level, but I've noticed, many things on other levels as well. I mean, definitely emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual. Why don't I stop there, because I'm going off on a tangent, and you can rein me in and ask me a little, yeah, get me back on track.
Sure. Yeah, because you're right. I mean, it's so, even when I look back at some of my own traumas, and and I had a similar story with having flown through the windshield of my truck, and then the truck landed on me and smashed me, and so then I was smashed, and I had a bunch of other wrecks, and there were so many things that were going on, as I can tell just with you. It looks like you're looking at this big mental list of what was happening. But and so were there's like sleep issues or anxiety? I'm trying to think, some of the people that I'm talking to now, there's anxiety, and there's so much fear or panic, and almost a feeling of there being really something fundamentally wrong, and
Yeah.
looking for somebody that can see it and find it, and be able to just like calm it down, if you
Yeah.
will.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I would say that the people I was working with on a completely physical level, they couldn't, it was very overwhelming for them because I was close to death for a long time. You know, it's hard to deal with somebody who's close to death when you have kind of a little bit of responsibility. As a practitioner, it's like, oh my God, this person is, you know, right on the edge here. And you know, there were a number of times when we thought I wasn't going to make it. I was hospitalized for a while. So when I came to see you, I was, you know, pretty a pretty intense place. There was lots of anxiety, um, just because I was every moment fighting to stay alive.
Okay.
Um,
When you were
so
anxious, can I ask, when you were like, when you say you had a lot of anxiety, was it like
mhm.
gripping? Was that in your face? Was it in your body? Like what? Like was just trembling? How did it show up in your world?
All of those things actually, and at the time, my adrenals, that was one of the biggest things, is I was so injured that my adrenals were chaotic. So I was having some real hormonal, you know, fundamental issues
Yeah.
as well. And when you and I first started working together, I could only come see you once every probably 3 weeks or something. It was such an intense process because whatever we were doing to move that energy, it would take me a long time to work through that and to even be able to, you know, come back to a balance point for us to go and try again. I mean, it was that intense. Now it's about every 2 weeks, I would say. If I go more than 2 weeks without us working together, you know, I'm not doing good. But probably every week is, you know, an ideal. Um, Again, tangent, bring me back.
No, that's fine. Um, Frequency, and again, I appreciate you getting on here, especially when you're talking to a screen. And you, as you've said, like you don't ever do video, you don't ever do screen stuff, and um, so yeah, you know, thanks, and you're making complete sense, um, and thank you for sharing. You know, like how that the anxiety, and because even taking yourself back there in your memory can re-trigger the body, right? But even just watching, even just sitting here watching you breathe, like you have a calm about you that I remember there not being there for so long. You know, I would see when your eyes would be bugged, and it would be we just couldn't move very well. You know, just was just like so much pain, and I can imagine, yes, that for anybody that was trying to help you, that would be, um, you know, a stressful situation, because you know you've got such a beautiful light and soul in there. Like, oh my gosh, there's got to be something, you know, we can do.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't have the tools to work on those other layers, you know, and they might see that things are happening on other layers, but they don't have a framework to address it. And that has to be, you know, really frustrating as well.
Yeah. Have you noticed things? So your anxiety is different now, or
Absolutely. Yeah, it's almost nil.
okay,
Yeah, it's rare that I ever have anxiety about anything.
okay,
Um, I think I told you recently, 2020 was the best year of my life. Like I am just, you know, in such a good place. It's like nothing can touch me anymore. You know, I've gone through those deep issues and the surface stuff, and it's all basically surface stuff. If you get down to it, it doesn't touch me. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
good.
awesome, awesome. So you're yeah, which is even just taking a moment for that, you know, just the fact that you feel like you can walk into life and the chaos that life just predictably delivers that used to just throw you under the bus, you know, for lack of a more maybe
Uh-huh.
eloquent analogy. Um, did it was something that you mentioned about your cognitive performance, like in the past, where you were just not able to think straight or make sentences, almost like you were in your head moving the levers to make sense, to make words, to communicate meaning, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess maybe I should throw in too, this is pretty darn important, that it wasn't only the neck injury. It wasn't just the physical. During the time after I was so badly injured, we realized that I had late stage Lyme disease, and I'd been dealing with that for years. And that comes with a lot of brain fog. It really attacks the nervous system and the neurological functioning. So a lot of this work that we've been doing is bringing me back from that. And I still struggle. I still struggle with words. I still struggle with some brain fog, recalling memories, just getting things out. But night and day, fine. I have a little bit of that problem, fine.
All right. So it comes down to almost like your experience of time. It almost feels like it's less frantic. Like
hmm
there's less like need to, if
Yeah,
you're on the edge of death, you don't have time to be processing experiences and thoughts and
absolutely. Basically, it's almost like the 6 years didn't happen. It's like I'm picking up where I was. And, I think about it in terms of, if you get, like, say, a really bad flu and you're laid up for 3 days with fever dreams, you come out of it, you can't remember that state really because, we are in the state that we are.
yeah.
And it's hard to recall those states. So, I mean, it's actually even hard for me to remember at all how sick I was. It was staying alive moment to moment and getting through the day every day.
Okay, good. It just reminds me even some of the people that I've been talking to these days who've got such a horrendous and extended history of sequential, contiguous traumatic experiences, and there's just so much fear and lockdown and panic, and part of the body is just almost like it feels like it's in war at war. Um, and and just to kind of reflect, just to again like paint the real picture, like you see providers, you see medical providers, people that are working with a diagnosis, working with that you're working with the neck injury or
Mhm.
muscle tension, and really trying to help alleviate some of those pains coming from some of um, the physical symptoms, and like the Lyme disease symptoms, and that stuff that I don't look at. I'm not looking at and addressing a diagnosis or treating any of those that kind of like the heavy hitter approaches. And really where you and I meet is in these as you put it, like the subtle energy realms
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
that you seem to be so receptive to, and not even seem to be. I mean, you are very,
Mhm.
receptive to them. And how I remember when we first met, how humbling it was to be in the presence of somebody that was so sensitive, that really anything, and from my perspective as this, really what I'm doing is I'm playing with what I'm doing with my attention. Where am I putting it in my body? Where outside of myself? Where am I resting it in you? And watching your body respond to what I'm doing with my attention. And again, that's where my training comes from, is actually how does the interaction between two individuals have some start to exchange some sort of information
Mhm.
that again, this is outside of in the esoteric, but this is almost
Yeah.
the rules of the esoteric,
Yeah.
right? So what are these invisible strings that connect us? And I love that you're on here today sharing this from inside of a kind of a human body that is so clearly tuned into these things that the current professional healer training doesn't necessarily go into,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
how I don't want to position this energy work as a replacement for, but
Right.
almost a real beautiful adjunct to anything.
It is. It is. And I have a couple of chiropractors that do different techniques. I have physical therapy. Actually, I have three physical therapists at the place I go to. I have a medical massage therapist. I think that's about it for the physical. And yet, when we work together, and right now we're doing everything distance, we're
Yeah,
just doing Zoom these days because I used to come in, face to face.
yeah,
But I mean, everything is distance right now. And when I lay down on my, makeshift floor table,
yeah,
when I get up, my physical body is completely different.
yeah.
And I'm not just saying it feels different, I'm saying it looks different.
Yeah.
So I can look in the mirror before you and I do our work, and I'm standing one way. I can turn sideways. My curves are one way.
Yeah.
And after I get up from us working together, I am just all aligned. And
Mhm.
not only that, but I look better. It's amazing when when my neck is in alignment with how much more attractive. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the basis of health.
Yeah.
When you're in alignment. But here's a real thing: is the day after I get sessions with you, I always wear my like form-fitting clothes. So if I have like really tight dresses and stuff, that's when I wear it because my body actually looks great. So it's not just like I feel better, which I do. I'll have aches and pains go away. I'll have just more freedom of movement. I'll sleep better. I'll be in a better position on my neck and my bed. But I literally look, I can see it in the mirror. And I don't get that when I go into like my chiropractor. Now he gets everything to place. Both of them do. They're great.
Mhm.
They crack things into place, but it doesn't change the curve of my neck. I mean, when you and I work together, the curve in my neck is changed. So it's pretty amazing. It works on so many different levels. Works on every level. I mean, there's not a level. And when I say every level, I'm actually like probably counting 5 or 6 that I can think of. I know the work you do is like probably infinite levels, literally like what you do. But every level I can think of, it works on. So
Thank you. That's I know it's how I've learned to try to track these different levels so that I can reflect back onto myself after I leave my sessions with my energy coach chiropractor, and that's what he is. He's a chiropractor that's trained in this particular energetic technique. That so I go back and forth to his office, and I've everything shifts for me, and so I love how you have sort of touched on those points. I wonder, do you notice, and you and I've never asked you this before, so not to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if you notice like difference in your relationships, whether they're intimate relationship or relationship with your friends or family, in terms of like the dynamic or the vulnerability. Have you looked at has yeah, do you know what I'm asking? Like, is there a change in your ability to actually connect with your tribe? We'll say that.
that's a good question. That's probably a level I actually haven't thought of. I mean, if I track it back, because you and I have been working together for over 7 years now. It's been a long time. So in retrospect, I would say yes. It's funny because it's not something that's jumped out at me, but at the same time, most of this last 7 years, I've been in complete isolation and housebound. So I have a very limited, interactions with people. I it always changes based on my level of health. So I would say it has to be connected, but um,
One way maybe to, so I'm not keeping you right on the spot here, is when you say you're after the session, your neck curve is different, how you look is different, so which means how you move in your
mhm,
clothes are different. And so then I'm going to
yeah,
go from there is actually tracking your body's response to somebody else looking at you, interacting with you, and how you feel your full self communicating in an exchange, now versus maybe a time when you're more hunched.
yeah, I would say so. And let me just interject there because I'm sitting here kind of hunched right now, and you and I are getting together. Are set up to do a Zoom in 2 days.
Yeah.
So it's been like 12 days,
Yeah.
and I am ready to see you. Like I'm back to, again, this is healing, as you know.
Yeah.
But every time we work, it goes up. But I am definitely, I'm sure you can see by looking at me that, my neck, I'm not articulating as much as I can be. But yeah, no, when you say it like that, like interacting with people, it's just not a level I've thought of. But definitely when I'm able to move around and interact with people better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, something you just said about the healings. I know a lot of people, like, well, I don't want to become dependent on, a healer or somebody like this, because I don't want to be just like this. I want to be able to get to a place where I can just maintain and stabilize, myself. And sometimes, that, and I know I've had that same thought, and I like the logic of that thought. And what I've realized is I kind of think about, this is going to be a guy analogy, but I think about like race cars, like like it's like the high speed, high tech race cars that every single race car will finish the race, even if they never stop in for a pit stop and have all the mechanics run around the car. But you'll never see that race car actually be in the contention to win unless they have a regular pit stop with all of the necessary support team to go through and work all the little tiny subtle tweaks, right? Yeah. It's not the Jiffy Lube where we're changing out, all the big things. It's all the little tiny subtle tweaks that end up,
right.
The little adjustments, when done in the right place at the right time, produce these really tremendous full body, but then full life experience.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah. Well, I would say too, like, what is maintaining and stabilizing? Do you want to maintain and stabilize down here, or do you want to get up here? Yeah. Because, this is where I'm going. And, this lifetime, and honestly, after like facing deaths for so many years and whatnot, like, this is all bonus round to me. This is like extra lives in the game. Like, I no longer, need to do anything. I'm here to, actualize my life's purpose, whatever that is. And I don't really care what it is. And I don't care how much I have to look at myself, what kind of work I have to do, anything. I'm going to go as high as I can this lifetime. I'm going to call it enlightenment, because I think that is an awakened state, is where all of us can and, hopefully will go. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah,
that may be completely off the subject, but
that's right on the subject. I like how you were putting that, because I was kind of answering one of the questions that comes up, like once I get here, can I stay there? Yeah, likely. But that, I think what the question you answered, instead of seeing, me regularly just to stay here, we're actually every couple of weeks we're doing this.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
There's a dip, and as you mentioned, over the years, like you continue to be more, just in my experience of what we're working with now versus what we were working with 3 and 5 and 7 years ago, was with little things like where you're resting your attention, where I'm resting my attention, where your breath might be going, where you feel spontaneous impulses to move. There was so much more energy and effort coming out of your body, apparently pulling you in all different directions. And what seems to be happening in the background now is so much more complex, so much more energy efficient, which makes it so much more relaxed. Mm-hmm. And if that's actually happening in the background of your physiology, and then you can look at the mirror and not have to try to mentally manage it all, but it's just happening spontaneously. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then you can get busy with life. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, what you said there, and I don't really know how to put this into words, so I will try. But I've been doing, energy work for many, many, many years. I did martial arts for many years, and a real focus on internal qigong. And then, of course, I've been working with energy healers, workers, and therapies of all type. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds for the last 30 years. So I've been doing a lot of work. I do my internal energy work all the time. But what you just said about like the feeling stuck and the getting energy move through, there are always barriers that I come up against. And what I've noticed with when I work with you is that I can get to a certain level, but then I'm stuck. Like my energy can't work through something. It's just, I will lay down and you and I will connect in, and that energy automatically starts to flow through those stuck places. So, you're facilitating. It's obviously my energy, it's life, but you're facilitating that flow where I'm stuck. And of course, the more I work with you, the more I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
and I can then move further each time. Um, but yeah, your guidance is invaluable. So
That's so well put. And you put a finger on such a point that seems also really pertinent and critical, that it's not therapeutic. I'm not looking to fix anything. And I heard the difference between kind of a therapeutic approach and a coaching approach. As a coach like myself, just looks at where we are and moving forward and trying to fix something instead of fixing something from the past, which we both know, we need to retell a story about stuff that happened in the past so we can settle, and that there are highly trained individuals that can really help us with that. And that, to the degree that it doesn't address the body mind experience as a full unit of energy and information processing, thinking and feeling all happening at the same time, rather than the brain trying to tell the body what to do,
mhm.
it's a fundamental kind of reorganizing, rewiring of how we do life. And I love that you brought in, like, you're here for your purpose.
Yeah.
How are you going to get yourself in alignment with that energy that's here to deliver that gift?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. And one thing that I really like too, which is just fun for me, and I don't know what other people's experiences are with this work. Um, I know that we did used to meet in groups sometimes, so I have seen other people have the similar responses physically, where you connect in with me, you connect in with something, and our bodies start to move spontaneously. And for anybody who's like, oh, well, this stuff couldn't really work, I mean, it's amazing because I can lie down, and there's absolutely no movement in my body. We get on a call, you connect in, and immediately my body starts unwinding and moving and repositioning itself, and things are cracking into place here and snapping into place and popping here. It's a crack, snap, pop, experience. And
And
yeah,
I'm
it's
I'm not
pretty
even
mind blowing.
really. Oh, sorry. Say that again.
No, it's just pretty mind blowing because you can't make this stuff up. My body does. I would never on my own move myself into these weird postures and whatnot. And it is amazing, the energy, the life force, that has its consciousness. It knows what it needs to do.
And you're lying there and you're just allowing. Does it feel like a yawn? I know some people say I don't want to have somebody like marionette puppeting me. Does it feel like I'm reaching through the screen and like moving you around, or does it feel what is it? Does it feel like you're just
No,
following an impulse?
yeah. It's my energy. It's the energy. It's But those blockages are just it's flowing through, and yeah,
Yeah. Awesome.
that's what
Awesome.
makes this so hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that space, when I'm in that space, there's no mind. So there's no like, okay, well, this is what my body's doing, or this is how I would characterize it. Or it's sort of like that analogy I made earlier, like when you're sick. I mean, like, you don't remember what it's like to be sick in bed with the flu because you're not in that state anymore. So while you're in that state, it's an altered state of consciousness.
Yeah.
And so coming out of it and trying to describe what it is very difficult.
Right. So yeah, well said. And I very much appreciate it, especially when you get somebody as articulate and intelligent as you stepping into that esoteric thing, that it's real, right? And then trying to, because we can't recreate it with the narrative, right? We can't don't expect anybody to watch this video and then spontaneously start to move, because that's it doesn't happen that way. So there's actually some rules about how we exchange energy and information when we, in a relaxed, deliberate, subtle way, start to recognize that we're sharing information, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and this was something that, I'm with you with, when I'd been to a whole bunch of providers myself after all of the traumas I'd had, and then I had a similar experience where somebody somebody like didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden I had like no symptoms the next day, and I slept the best I had in a decade, and I could not explain it, and that was the hardest part for me, is I
Hmm.
couldn't explain it. I didn't understand what it was. It felt like it was right out of a Harry Potter movie or Star
Yeah.
Wars or something, that there was this force, and then like, was it darkness, is it manipulation, all of that stuff. um but the but maybe just speak to your inner knowing, which is why I call this work inner knowing energetics. Is and the reason why I call it inner knowing energetics is that inner knowing of safety, and this is actually what I need to feel better, regardless of anybody looking at me on any computer anywhere. My body's able to actually now, with whatever's happening, I can figure out what it is that I need to do to heal.
Hmm.
And I found myself, when I'm being worked on, I'm following something, and then almost like it pass through some kind of imaginary portal, um, and then it's like you said, words don't really follow you through there, but boy, the results do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank
it's been a
you.
fun process, and I couldn't have done it without you. I mean, I literally, yeah, it's a gift, and I honestly don't believe anything happens, as an accident. This lifetime, I've seen way too much to believe anything is accidental, and that's one of the reasons why I'm pretty chill in my life, and what got me through being close to death for so long. Because either I was going to die, that's fine. I could have let go at any point, um, but I knew that I, had work to do. Um, where was I going with that? Hmm, lost that completely. What was I talking about?
Well, I think what was just striking to me about what you were saying, it was just remembering. I was recalling what it's been like to work with you. Is that there's, and the other many of the other clients that I work with now, is that there's something, regardless of the like contortion or fear, or contortion, confusion mentally, or what they may be experiencing, throughout the body. That again, I'm not treating, or directly trying to
Yeah,
change or
yeah,
manipulate. That what I saw in you and experienced in you, what I feel when I've been engaging with you all the way through, was that you had this internal conviction, like, I'm here, I got something to do, and until somebody pulls the rug out from under me and shuts the lights off, like, I'm still going. I'm still
yeah.
going. I'm still going. And so just that vulnerability and bravery, I think the two go together somehow, that it can be spoken better than I can.
Thanks. And I think I remember what track I was on, is that feeling like nothing is accidental, and feeling well taken care of by the universe. Like, I know that anything I need will be provided. I know any, teacher or practitioner or a food or um, anything I need in my life is given to me, is taken care of. There's a great line, I think it's from the Course in Miracles, to get a little esoteric, but if miracles are not happening in your life, something's wrong. And I mean, every moment of my life is a miracle. I can't see anything, outside of it that's not. And including, like these incredible practitioners and teachers that I've been drawn to in this lifetime. I mean, that's not a mistake. It's not a mistake that I was drawn to work with you. I wouldn't be the person I am without having done the work with you. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, you're welcome. And I'm thankful both to you, and to have had, the good fortune to get to work with you and get. I mean, I sometimes I say I have the best job in the world, because I get the front row seat to watch stories like yours, and I've got the same one, and just to be sitting here having this conversation with you, and it's a different conversation than it was years ago. And Raevan,
Yeah.
thanks so much
And in
for.
7 years, we'll sit down and do this again.
We'll
And
do it again.
I'm really looking forward to that, because honestly, I don't think there's an end in life to the healing you can do and the levels you can achieve. And I sit there and go, okay, if I was at this point 7 years ago, when I had to have medical transport to get me to you, and then I could barely walk into the space.
Yeah.
And here I am now, then what's it going to be like? There's one analogy from martial arts, and this was like in Kung Fu. When you strike, you're striking and you put all your energy through you and you build it up, and then you release it and you let that energy go into infinity. And that's what I feel like. I've had to do so much work these last 7 years. I've had to push through so much. I have so much energy built up, and now it's starting to just go. And I cannot wait to see like how far it can go. I'm going to go as far as I can in this lifetime, and hopefully I will be used to then be able to do something with that to help my fellow man, because I love, okay, I'm getting a little out there, but I love every single human on this planet. They're all my brothers and sisters, and if there's anything I can do to help them, and in reality, I have a lot to pay forward. You know, I have a lot to pay forward with the work I've done with you, at the very least. You know, I got to do something with that energy. This is a gift. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Raven, so much for that sharing. And that's just tied it so much together for me when we're talking about purpose. And then if this just isn't just a human vehicle, but it's actually when it's vibrating and moving energy through in such a coordinated way that it's been designed to deliver, as you said, energy all the way out into infinity, how far can that purpose and gift that you are here to share be delivered? So I'm happy to be on this journey with you, and thank you so much for breaking your habit of never being on screen and
or even photographs. I mean, it's just not something I've done this lifetime, and I look forward to co-creating with everyone out there like you on this planet, like an amazing future, because I have no doubt that humanity has a bright future. Not a doubt.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for you can hang out here for a second. I'll just pause the recording.
Okay.
But everybody, thanks for watching. Listen to Raven's story. Hopefully, if you were getting anything out of what she said, where she's come from, that like resonates with you, and you're trying all the things because you know that there's something in there that you've got that it's actually trying to birth through you, and it feels like you're going through the birth process actually, to like be contorted, and it's painful in all the ways. And it feels like maybe there's another aspect, whether it's me or somebody else, that can address a part of you and how you're actually experiencing this energetic existence that still needs to be, connected. Yeah, reach out. So, thanks to Raven really for sharing your story. Yeah.